Hello there students, and welcome to another lesson. In 1806, a man by the name of Frederick Tudor triumphantly announced in his writing, "A man who has drank his drinks cold for 1 week can never be presented with them warm again." He was arrogantly predicting the inevitability that his ice business would make him very rich. And boy was he right. Freshly cut from the lakes of Massachusetts, he literally just shipped it all over the world. And like a good drug dealer, he first gave away his ice for free and then started charging once they were hooked. Tudor amassed around $200 million in today's money through the ice trade. And the practice of shipping ice to tropical places like India and the Caribbean only stopped 100 years ago. This was the earliest commercial refrigeration operation and seems set to continue. Now, good students, I'm sure we've all come across a fridge at some point, and we take for granted how easy it is to keep your fresh meat and drink cold. Not only is it easy, but it's also safe, and the genius that made it safe is the thing I want to discuss today. For some context, early electrical refrigerators prior to 1928 were quite faulty, and the gases used inside of them, known as coolants or refrigerants, were prone to leaking. Which doesn't sound like much of an issue until you find out that the gases were ammonia and methyl chloride. Unfortunately, leaking events were far too common, and it led to many deaths in the 20s. Concerned about the whole deadly fridge thing, the industry needed a solution. Wait, what's that, I hear you ask? But how do fridges actually work? Well, my good student, to understand that, we're going to need to talk about pressure. Normal heating and cooling processes involve adding or removing heat energy to change a system's temperature, much like putting a flame under a pot of water to heat it up. The process is characterized by no actual heat energy being removed or added to the gas to change its temperature. Rather, pressure changes to the gas are used to achieve temperature alterations. These can be achieved by changes in the volume the gas occupies. For example, going from thin pipes to a large box reduces pressure. The principle says, a gas under high pressure cools significantly when it is released into a lower pressure environment. Conversely, a gas under low pressure, when rapidly compressed, becomes hot. It turns out this is the same reason why aerosol cans become cold if you spray them for a while. And also, it's how sweating works, which is why none of you greasy gamers don't die from overheating. Anyway, back to fridges. In most fridges, a coolant gas is circulated from high pressure pipes through a valve into a low pressure, aptly named chiller cabinet. The coolant vaporizes and turns the surrounds very cold, which keeps your fridge cold. The coolant is then vaporized again using a compressor, and as we now know, the pressurization makes the gas very hot. So cleverly, the gas is routed to the back of the fridge, away from your food. It then slowly cools on the way back to the chiller cabinet, and the cycle repeats. Now students, this is a simple explanation, but you're surely intelligent enough to use Google if you want more detail. The next question remains, what is the coolant? This is where our inventors, Charles Kettering and Thomas Midgley Jr. come in. Previously, the coolant had been the toxic gases like ammonia, making fridges in homes extremely risky due to them being literal death boxes that could kill you at any moment. These two clever lads, along with their team of scientists, decided they would do something remarkable and synthetically create a refrigerant they called Freon. They created it by adding chlorine and fluorine atoms to hydrocarbons, which was nothing new. However, they improved the production process as well as demonstrated its effectiveness as a coolant. Freon was a real marvel. It was non-flammable, a feat of scientific engineering, and the best thing about it is that it didn't kill you if you breathed it in. This invention changed the way refrigeration was implemented forever. With electrically powered appliances on the fast rise, nothing could stop fridges from entering homes around the world. The growth was so fast, in fact, that at the beginning of the 1930s, just 8% of American homes had a fridge. By the end of the decade, nearly half of homes had one, and Freon running fridges and freezers became the standard for the rest of the 20th century. But although it was revolutionary, it was also mincing the invisible air force field called the ozone layer. Chemists Mario Molina and Frank Sherwood made the link that chlorofluorocarbons were causing great harm to the ozone layer in 1974. And less than 20 years after their discovery, governments around the world came to ban their use everywhere. This work, rendered the revered refrigerant Freon useless. Although phased out now, we have Freon to thank for refrigerators that have become ubiquitous in homes, as well as providing the backbone to our food transportation and storage networks. So students, hopefully some of you will now get up, fix your nerd neck, and go and invent something life-changing. Until next time, this has been the Average Institute, and thank you for watching.